This is the WZRD News for Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. Musical accompaniment by Dave Stryker from the album As We Are. The Prisoner Review Board, PRB, is a state agency consisting of 15 members appointed by the governor and approved by the Senate. It approves or denies parole annually or less often to eligible C-number prisoners sentenced before the abolition of parole for adult prisoners in 1978. It approves or denies parole annually to all prisoners in the juvenile system. It hears clemency applications and makes recommendations to the governor. It can determine parole revocation if a parole officer alleges that an individual has violated conditions of parole. It issues certificates of good conduct credit for former prisoners. Every individual entering the U.S. penal system for incarceration is assigned an identification number beginning with a letter. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Illinois Department of Corrections, IDOC, utilized numbers beginning with C, such as number C12345. These prisoners were given indeterminate sentences, that is, they received no set release date at sentencing. Instead, release was and is still determined by the PRB. Judges sentencing prisoners under this scheme understood that a fully rehabilitated inmate would be released once eligible for parole, regardless of the length of sentence assigned. Likewise, C-number inmates understood, in an almost contractual sense, that they would be released if they committed to rehabilitation. There are approximately 30 of these elderly C-number prisoners in Illinois. Most were eligible for parole after serving 11 years or less. All have served 30 years or more, but because their crimes were committed prior to the sentencing law of 1978, they continue to be the only adult prisoners eligible for parole before the PRB. The data suggests that merited justice can and should continue for C-number prisoners. These prisoners have a recidivism rate less than 5% compared with the 54% plus recidivism rate for the general prison population. The PRB has never released dangerous sex offenders or prisoners likely to engage in violent behavior. According to statistical studies, the C-number prisoners who have been released are no more likely to commit another crime of violence than someone who has never been convicted of such a crime in the first place. Despite their increasing ages and low recidivism rate, fewer C-number prisoners are released every year. The parole rate has fallen from 57% in 1978 to 5% in 2007, a 91% drop. Consistent with the restorative justice philosophy at the foundation of Illinois' penal system, parole is intended to reflect behavior during incarceration. However, more and more PRB decisions now place sole emphasis on the nature of the original crime, thus negating all rehabilitation efforts and accomplishments. Far from being bottom of the barrel, between 1/3 and 1/2 of remaining C-number inmates have excellent records. Some fear the PRB favors prisoners over victims. To the contrary, preservation of victims' rights is paramount. Not only are a victim's family members and any other witnesses opposing parole allowed to attend the prisoner's institutional and en banc hearings, opposition hearings are conducted during which the state's attorney represents the opposing position to the PRB directly. Neither the prisoner nor a representative is notified of the time or location of these hearings. They are given no transcript. Any misstatements made, whether deliberate or unintentional, are assumed true. The C-number prisoners the PRB has released have, without incident or exception, successfully integrated back into their communities. All completed parole and are gainfully employed. Many volunteer to work with youth at risk, using their own harrowing experiences to point the way toward wiser choices. Source: Illinois Institute for Community Law and a campaign in support of C-number prisoners, May 2018.